I've been eating a healthy whole foods diet for over a decade now, and I want to tell you the reasons that made me switch to this lifestyle. My journey towards health and wellness actually started right after college. I was fresh out of college, fresh out of eating in the dorm cafeterias, and out on my own in an apartment with no idea how to cook. There was a time in college that I did have to cook for myself, and my meals were absolute garbage. They consisted of lunch meat sandwiches with Italian dressing loaded with oil and mayonnaise on the other side, and a box of macaroni. And after I ate that lunch, I remember I would have to take at least a half an hour nap. College was also the time that I started getting these debilitating migraines. And of course, they put me on the shot because it was the only thing that seemed to work. That or downing a few ibuprofens, a few Advils, and some Coca-Cola. So right after undergrad is really when I started to feel not so good. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I wasn't feeling the best. And it's one of those things where you wake up and then you have to drink some caffeine and then you have a headache, so you take some Tylenol, but then that made you feel kind of weird. And now you can't get to sleep, so you're taking a sleeping pill. And then you've got your migraine, so you're shooting up your migraine medicine. So while I may not have had as big of an issue that maybe you're dealing with right now, at a young age I was not in optimal health, and I was beginning to realize it. And it didn't make sense to me. Meanwhile, my grandma, who was in her 70s at the time, every time I'd call her on the phone, "What's new, Grandma?" A new friend of hers had diabetes, or passed away, or had a heart attack. Her neighbor, in fact, had diabetes, and she had to deal with watching him lose every one of his limbs before he passed away. And that is really hard. They'd been lifelong friends for decades. Something to me just wasn't adding up. Why were all of these people getting sick out of nowhere? It was like, you get a disease, you get a disease, you die, you get a disease, you get a disease. Another thing that was interesting to me was watching TV and seeing all of the commercials. Ask your doctor about Simonapa checks, and ask your doctor how blah, blah, blah can work for you. And I thought to myself, well, first of all, it sounds like all of these medicines have way more side effects than the things they're actually helping. Second of all, why do we have this ailment that they're advertising for on the television? Why do we all have it? Why are so many people suffering? I got the migraines, I'm not feeling so great. My brother's got the high blood pressure. What else can I accrue in my early 20s by the time I'm as old as my parents or my grandparents? So then I move into my first apartment, and I'm riddled with the task of having to cook my own food, which I have absolutely no idea how to do. The very first thing that confused me is, how do you prepare the vegetables and the meat on the same cutting board and have it be sanitary and not cross-contaminate with each other? And the other thing that baffled me was pouring a little oil into the pan before you start to saute. How much do you pour? A splash? Do you just glub, 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 let it go in there? And I'm pouring this stuff in, and I'm just thinking to myself, frankly, it's kind of disgusting. I wasn't actually exposed to that much home cooking growing up, and I'd never worked in a restaurant kitchen. I just had the food come to me and I ate it, and I never had to think about where it came from, how it was prepared, what it was made out of. I remember going to the store and buying a bag of lentils and asking my dad, "Can you just cook and eat lentils?" And it seems like such a silly and dumb question, but I meant it. I thought to myself, here's this package that I turn over and I look at the ingredients, and it just simply says lentils. It doesn't have this mile-long list of all this fake garbage in there that I don't know how to pronounce and I don't know what it is. It's just simply lentils. I stumbled upon the documentary Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, which is about a man in poor health that decides to reverse his illnesses using juicing. He juices exclusively, all day, every day, for I don't remember how long. It was maybe months, okay? And I got into juicing, and I was so invigorated because some of these ailments I had been dealing with, the migraines started to subside. I also had incredibly horrible acne well past my teenage years. And I just learned to get used to it. I thought, oh, it's my genetics. I have this acne. I'll just put my makeup on in the morning, and that's just how life is gonna be. I have this horrible acne, and I'm just gonna have to deal with it. And my acne started going away, and my mind was blown. So here I was on this juicing journey, and I thought to myself, this is great, I can do this forever. Until about day 3 when I realized you cannot do this forever. It's so expensive. I was young, I didn't have a lot of money, and the time it took to actually juice. Sure, was it great for the week or 2 that I did it? Yeah, it was wonderful to reset my taste buds and get some nutrition into my body that had been lacking for my entire life. You can't just go on juicing every day, all day, every day. So what are you gonna do? And that's when I ran into a lecture by Dr. John McDougall, one of my heroes, about dairy. Now, I stumbled upon this video on YouTube. It was about an hour long, and he went into all the perils of dairy, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing, especially me who loved milk. I used to drink maybe half a gallon, if not a gallon a day. I was addicted to this stuff. I loved milk, I loved cheese, I loved everything, sour cream, everything I loved. And I watched that video, and that night I dumped my milk down the drain, and I never touched it again. And after seeing such a convincing argument from this person, I discovered he had a book, The Starch Solution, and I read it, and I couldn't believe what I was reading. All of these ailments that my grandmother's friends were suffering and dying from, all of these things could be reversed with a healthy whole foods diet. One that limits or eliminates animal products, one that eliminates processed oils, and has an abundance of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and my bag of lentils too. Even more exciting than the bag of lentils was the potatoes for me. As someone who didn't know how to cook and was just learning, I was actually set up for success because I didn't have to unlearn a whole bunch of other ways of doing it. And it brought me great joy to know that I could enjoy potatoes. Growing up, I heard about diets from my mom and her friends, and they were always on the Atkins diet. Atkins, I'm gonna get the burger with no bun. I'm like, what is this madness? I tried eating the Atkins diet in high school, and not to lose weight, but because I thought it was the healthiest thing to do, and I was conscientious. I was on the swim team, and I thought, okay, I'll get my lunch meat sandwich, hold the bread though. And you know what that gave me? It gave me zero energy. It made it so that I actually couldn't finish my races on the swim team because I didn't have enough energy in my body to make it to the finish line because I was trying to eat healthy. But when I wasn't trying to eat healthy and I was enjoying pasta and carbo loading days, those were the days that I got my PRs on practice days. Then I was accidentally sabotaging myself on race day by cutting these carbs. I had no idea. So learning that potatoes were healthy was the greatest gift I could have ever received. Also because they're so easy to cook. Anyone could bake a potato. Heck, I'd microwave them when I got lazy. And I thought to myself, you know what? This thing makes the most sense to me so far. I'm gonna try it for a month. It's gonna be a crazy, wacky experiment, and I'll reassess how I feel after the month and see if it was ridiculous or what. And I tried it, and I loved it. I loved everything about it. I loved feeling full without feeling weighed down. Remember when I used to eat that lunch meat sandwich and macaroni and cheese for lunch? I could eat huge portions of potato enchiladas and tacos and pizza with no cheese and not feel so bogged down afterwards. And my acne, at this point, completely gone. I had no idea. No more migraines, no more headaches. I had all the energy in the world. And ever since then, I've been convinced that this is the way to eat. This is the diet of our ancestors. This is how it should be. We weren't made to suffer. And if you're suffering, I hope that this story convinces you to give it a try. Join our Facebook group. Other people have way more of an extreme story than I do, and I get these emails every week saying how adopting a healthy whole foods diet has transformed people's lives. Food is the medicine. Food is the medicine, not the drugs. You know, I tried to convince my friends and family to join me in this newfound way of eating, and it fell on deaf ears, and honestly, I might have ruined some relationships over it, but you're here. You're here on this journey with us, and we have each other, and I'm here for you. I want to hear your successes. I want to hear what you're struggling with, and I'm just so glad to have another friend that enjoys this way of eating as much as I do. Catch you next time.